Hello, and welcome to She Speaks Too, the podcast where we share the stories of African Americans who have made an impact in their communities from the South Carolina Low Country and beyond. I am your host, Patricia Bligen Jones. Join us on She Speaks Too. Good evening, Harold Singletary, and welcome to She Speaks Too, the podcast. How are you?
I am wonderful this evening, Patricia. Thank you so much for having me on this podcast.
You're more than welcome. Harold, let's start by asking just a few questions. Tell us about your latest business venture, Bright Maw Farms. What is Bright Maw Farms? What do you all grow? What do you all sell?
Awesome. Brightmont Farms is a vertical minority hemp group. We grow CBD, hemp genetic strains from seed to clones. We have tinctures, oils, gummies, and a holistic organic approach to a market that is expanding. And we're excited to be, a veteran minority managed group in this space.
Awesome. Tell us about the name behind Bright Maw Farms. Tell us the history. Tell us the backstory.
And that story might take us on for a while, but I will give you the short version, and it's so much energy there. I was bequeathed a 10-acre tract of land that's heirs property from my grandmother, Katie Roper. And Katie comes from a generational line of farmers. My grandparents, I grew up on a farm. And this 10-acre tract is in Monk's Corner in Corsville. And she always told us stories when we were younger about her mom and her grandma, who was a slave. And she was called Bright Mom. And she
Wow.
was a slave on the Ball Plantation, one of the largest plantation owners in the Low Country. And Cumming Tea Plantation is in Cordsville. And so this tract of land ties back to Brightmont, is where she settled her family post slavery. And, walking that land and clearing that land, it came evident to me and explaining to my team what the history of this opportunity and where we were, that Brightmont was with us and that our future would be bright. And so I wanted, as the visionary and CEO of the company, to take that energy with us. And this is, of course, before 2020 incidents that has, put race conversations back in front of us. But it was already an energy felt when we were clearing the land at the end of 2018. So Brightmont Farms, the love and the energy comes from an ancestor that paved the way for us to be here, and that land is still within our family, and it will create generational wealth.
Great, that's wonderful. Can you share with us the medicinal properties or, value of your farm, the product that you all are producing? Because I think sometimes
Yes,
people hear it and they just think, oh my God, that's marijuana. And I think there needs to be some clarification.
for sure. And for all of those that think that hemp is cannabis, it is of that genetic, but it is not cannabis. The THC level of the hemp plant, which is regulated and federally stipulated, that has to be under 0.3% THC level, which is, what cannabis has a high percentage of, that makes people consider, they feel high or they feel loopy. But there's so many medical attributes even to the marijuana plant that big pharma um, has poisoned us for many years. Look at the opioid epidemic. Um, that marijuana could then step in, but hemp is a sister product. Or a genetic strain that, like I said, has a lower THC level, and some of the medical attributes go from a various of spectrums: inflammation, anxiety, depression, pain management, hunger. It's so many different things that can be utilized with the plant to strengthen us, um, for our health, um, just our day-to-day, life and being in balance. It is a plant of the earth. And if you go back in history, it was put on the ban list along with marijuana in the big cotton prohibition era. And those industries took advantage of removing that product because plastics wouldn't have a standpoint now, which hemp is now replacing plastics. We see what plastic has done to our environment. The fiber of the plant, the grain of the plant, the CBD cannabinoid tinctures that allows you to get various medicinal attributes that I previously referenced. It's unlimited. There's over 1,000 uses that the hemp plant can fulfill. So
1,000?
I'm excited because yeah, over 1,000, and I will share a sheet of the various hemp uses and with you that you can then maybe I don't know if you could post that with your podcast, but you can share that information. Um, and just to touch a few of those just off top, I mean, from industrial textiles, paper, building material, food, industrial products, oil, varnishes, inks, fuel, personal hygiene. It could be soap, shampoo, lotions, balms, granola. You can
Wow.
make seed oil, hemp seed oil flows in, um, biomass. It's so many different benefits, and even the hemp product could be used for weed suppression. In fields, you can grow the hemp and it will, avoid weeds from taking over land. It is a great absorbent as well. So the grain could be used in spills. Right now, our company is working with a large automotive company looking to replace plastics in the engine with hemp products, hemp fiber. And so, what I have been trying to do is advocate for farmers to understand CBD is a hot buzzword right now. The
Right.
industry is expanding, but CBD is the hot buzzword. This 1,000 line item opportunity, and I'm telling you, we all shouldn't be growing for CBD. We should be growing in the various components of what this plant could touch. And so, it's a lot to still be learned, but the opportunity is great. And I hope people will, look at joining like the U.S. Hemp Growers Association, of which I'm a board of director on. It's a national organization that advocates for all hemp farmers. We get regulated heavily by Department of Ags and USDA and the Federal Farm Bill and Hemp Bill, but we have to advocate for there to be someone to regulate. And so that's what I'm looking to do, and hopefully bring a lot more minority farmers in the game, but educating them on the process and that this is a lucrative opportunity. You have to look down range to find which lane you want to walk in. So, super exciting. Like I said, it's unbelievable the opportunity we have to bring this plant back. We've lost several years of genetic opportunities with this being a banned item. And I can tell you now, being a South Carolinian, we have BMW, we have Boeing, we have Volvo, only U.S. plant. All three of those major manufacturers use hemp byproducts in their vehicles or airplanes or equipment.
Really?
Why not? Yes,
I didn't know
Boeing.
that.
Some of the seats and airbags and some of the flooring, some of the plastics. All of these guys, BMW, all of these guys are using hemp. And the hard part for me, and what I'm working with our local congressmen and senators is, we gave them a benefit to come to South Carolina. South Carolina's growing hemp. I don't want to hear that they're importing hemp from China or Indonesia or Thailand when they could be utilizing U.S., especially South Carolina hemp, with them being in our backyard.
So, a question. Why hemp and not corn or okra?
For me, I was already interested. I knew the plant. I'm a veteran that experienced PTSD. I was looking, for other substitute for anxiety versus being on opioids or other pain management. I had a mother that I lost 4 years ago to bone cancer. I saw what opioids did to her quality of life. Um, and so understanding that this plant had medicinal uses that could not, hurt her or affect her the way the other big pharma drugs did, I was like, wow, like more people should know about it. And, I saw an opportunity with the people within my network out west in the Midwest in California, that if I did this and did this right and built my boutique company that I could create generational wealth. And I wanted to do that not just for my family, but others in my network that came along with me. So hemp, and understanding that it was bigger than just CBD, I saw this as a great opportunity in an expanding market in an industry that's just getting started in my state. That I could be a leader, and my company could be in the forefront of doing big things. So it was, I like to say, even Brightmar, from farming rice and cotton, now we farming hemp.
Well, you know what? That's not a bad thing. I mean, it's all about, I mean, not just money, but you want to make sure whatever it is you're cultivating, it has some, solid value.
Right,
And it's
right.
not going to be cheapened, by what people think they know versus what's the truth. So
That's right.
with that being said, tell me about when do you harvest? How long does it take from a seed being planted to harvest time? Walk us through that process.
Yeah, so you're looking at, and it depends on how people farm. Like we provide quality um, genetics to farmers, but we provide rooted clones. So we have a mom that is cycled with a COA, certificate of analysis. We know the genetic strain. We know that it is a feminized product. The THC level is within compliance, and we give the farmers a jump start. So they're not trying to plant a seed, let that seed pop, to then get it rooted, to then put it in the field, to then go through the vegetative stage into flower stage, then to harvest stage. And so even when you harvest, you're not free and clear. That's just one anxiety off of your off of your neck as a farmer.
Right.
You still got to dry and cure, and then either move the flower, or either process the flower to extract oil, or get it processed for grain, or processed for fiber, etc. But for us, it takes about 6 months to create a strong mother plant that we can then take rooted, unrooted cuts from, get that cut rooted within a week time, to then go into veg for about 6 weeks, and then you have another 6 weeks. It's a 3 month process until we get the harvest. So our harvest will be coming out, that we have in our greenhouse, in November,
Mm-hmm.
but we are a indoor grow. Most farmers are farming in the field, and that window for them to get in the field is late May, early June, and they're
Mm-hmm.
out of the field at the end of August. And as you know, we are in hurricane season,
Right.
so we're farmers in the field. We've gotten two passes already this year, um, but it's always a risk, and they're only going to get one harvest cycle per year. For me, I will get four harvests because I'm perpetual. As I come out in November, I'm indoor. I'm going back in with the next cycle.
Right.
Um, so the benefit for me, I wanted to mitigate my risk, as far as the different things, the pathogens. Other hemp farms may be close by that could cross pollinate and mess up my genetics. I wanted to control our destiny as much as we can. There are still variables we have to face, even growing indoors, but I wanted to mitigate that and produce a medical grade type product that I felt good about putting to market. And so here we are, Brightmouth Farms, with about 20,000 square feet of indoor grow space. On our campus, by the time we're finished, we'll probably have about 150,000 square feet of indoor grow.
Wow. So, have you all, where are your products being sold? Once, you get through the process of harvesting, extracting the oils for
Yep.
packaging. I mean, what have you all, do you have anything on the market right now that someone could go into the store and say, hey, I'm buying this Brightma Farms product?
Yep. Yes, we do, and we sell our products wholesale to several distributors across the nation. There are several local stores that carry our product, but we also have our web e-merchant system, brightmouthfarms.com, where you can buy various lines of our products, from oil tinctures, topicals, balms. We have a beauty line that we're coming out with hemp products related in it as well for the women. And we sell a lot of CBD flower and pre rolls across various shops, up and down the southeast. We're doing a lot of sales right now in the Midwest. So we're excited. We don't have a physical storefront, but like I said, we provide genetics to farms. We do sell our flower and our CBD pre rolls, and then we have the tinctures and oils that we also retail online, and we sell wholesale to others that they can then sell in their stores. So our footprint is expanding as we speak, and I'm just super excited about the future.
Awesome. When did you establish Brightmore Farms? What year?
And so South Carolina allowed hemp to be farmed starting in 2017 with the first licensing. They gave out 20 licenses in the first pilot year. We got our license in 2018, the second year of the pilot program, where they only issued 40 permits for the entire state. Currently, we're out of the pilot program, and there are about 240 licensed farms in South Carolina, and I expect that number to continue to grow. Um, so 2018, we received our permit, and we began construction development in that fourth quarter. That took us into clearing land, building our facilities, and we received our certificate of occupancy in July of 2019, and we pulled off our full first harvest again in November of 2019, and kept going perpetual from that positioning, looking to expand territories and build our market and our brand. So we are going in. July just passed was our first operational year in play. So we're within our second year, and things are bright. Our future is bright.
Great. Now, can you tell us a little bit more about the process? Yeah, you mentioned receiving permission or receiving a certificate to start growing. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, tell us a little bit about that process. Is it a difficult process? Is it just filling out an application and getting a stamp somewhere? Walk us through
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so South Carolina Department of Agriculture is the regulatory group that manages the license. They have a hemp group up there ran by Vanessa Essola. She came from California in their hemp program. They do a good job of giving you as much documentation of what you need. But yes, it's an application. You have to put standard information. You have to get a background check. You submit that application with an application fee. Upon approval, then you pay the permit fee. And so, just normal business licensing procedure, dotting your I's, crossing your T's, TMS number of your tract of land. And it's not as heavily intensive as people may think, but it's just some standard documentation that is required. And, even before someone is thinking about, hey, I'm going to go get this permit, I recommend them think through and build a vision board. Like I mentioned to you about the 1,000 line item opportunities. Which one do you want to sit in? What's the best opportunity to be a part of this emerging industry, either downrange in the supply chain or as a grower in the supply chain. So all of those things matter. For us, we made ourselves vertical because we wanted to control our destiny. We wanted to grow the product, process the product, go to market with the product, and also establish relationships with supplier and this people in the supply chain that we could connect bridges to. So the licensing process is pretty standard. There's some fees tied to it, but before even if you acquire the license and you don't grow, you have that opportunity too. But I say build a plan, build a model, and if you're not kind of a farmer or you don't understand the plant, because I know a lot of people have gotten in, they're used to growing vegetables. This is a different plant, so you would need some consultation or a consultant or hire someone on staff that has hemp cannabis cultivation skills and build around that market.
All right. So, as Chief Executive Officer, tell us about the rest of your staff. How many people does it take to run Brightmore Farms on the admin side as well as the agricultural side?
For sure, I have three other executive managers that are my right hand. Um, Brandon Hudson, he's my director of cultivation. He's a master grower, licensed cannabis master grower. He's been growing hemp and cannabis for over 25 years. My director of sales and marketing is Sherman Evans. Him and his wife had a retail business on Broad Street, the high-end district in Charleston, and so he's my director of sales. And then I have John Mark Villen, who is my COO, finance and executive background. 20 years in banking. Over 30 years of executive management. And then I have my cultivation crew, which is a mix. We have a junior cultivator. Her name is Lauren Sefton. She's Brandon's right hand. But we have a labor crew, cultivation labor crew, because farming is labor intensive. Um, and, we have probably about 8 people on our cultivation labor team. And admin, we have about 3 people doing admin work for us, social media, marketing. And we have consultants as well that we do business with that strategically help us map out the gaps that we may have. But like I said, for us, we're boutique indoor grow. If you're in the field, your labor force is even larger,
Right.
just be the amount of work that it takes to go from planting to, cultivation, period, harvesting, weed management, it's a lot. But, the cycle and the process is doable if you have a plan. And, me coming from an accounting background and as an executive and understanding SOPs and, procedures that people can have a blueprint on, all of that was done for us. So we didn't just say, hey, we're a farm group. We are running this as a corporation. So we dot our I's and cross our T's and make sure everyone, the communication chain is there, and that we all could, if someone's out, could fill in a role. So as a CEO, believe me, I've been in my hands in dirt. I've helped, with repairs and maintenance out at the site. Where we all fill in and wear a hat, no matter the day. Every day we wake up as farmers.
Okay, that's good to know. Let me ask you this. What about startup costs? I mean, what would you tell people who will listen to this podcast and go, I can do that? Talk to us about startup costs.
Yeah. It depends on, as I mentioned, with the different modern uses of the hemp plant, which lane you're going to sit in. Your startup costs will vary. If for me, we got started with about a 1.4 million cash inflection into startup, and that was heavy development. Like I said, 15,000 square feet, and expanding that as we speak. And a lot of that was capital assets, cultivation supplies, labor costs. I owned the land, so that was not a factor for us. And so, someone trying to farm in the field, you're still going to look at genetics. Where do I start with getting quality genetics to go in my field? You're going to have to, have that field ready and prepped. So it's labor intensive and cash flow intensive on the front end. And if you mapped it out, it's very lucrative on the back end. Um, this is a large industry with a lot of options and opportunities. Um, you just have to map out your vision board. Something like I said to anyone that's getting in the game, it starts from what position in the supply chain that you want to be in, and then we can map out and discuss costs.
That sounds like a solid plan. Let me ask you about your grandmother, Miss Katie Roper. Tell
Yeah.
us a little bit more about Miss Katie.
Oh, my grandma. I grew up. I was raised by women. Strong women. My mother, my aunt, and my grandmother were big foundation pieces for me. Made me the man that I am today. And my grandmother was definitely a strong black woman who, had a sixth grade education, but she was a midwife. She was born in 1912.
Wow.
She had a sixth grade education, but she was an entrepreneur. She had an open air market on Farley Road, in the 40s. And my grandparents were farming on James Island, so they were local rural farmers. My granddad was well respected. All of our produce were in all of the local chains, the grocery stores. But my grandmother, always would tell me, hard work won't kill you, but worrying about it will. And that was just a statement of thought, and it stuck with me. Why complain? Look at obstacles as opportunities, and champion the change you want.
Right.
And that proactive approach in life has gotten me where I am. It has always expanded territories for me. Um, but my grandmother was an amazing woman, and I'm super proud, and I know she's in heaven looking down, and Bright Ma's looking down, and Dolores, my mom, is looking down, and they're proud.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited that the foundation I had allowed me to be in the position where I am now, and it was because of those women.
Now, how have you been received in the community where your farm is? Are people aware of what you're doing, or?
Yeah, good, funny, funny that you said that. This land was left to me, kind of in 2000. My grandma deeded it over then,
Mm-hmm.
and I never went out there, to be honest. I just paid the tax. I was heavy in my accounting career. Recently married, new family starting. It was just something I knew my grandmother, she treasured. She treasured that property. And as I got, older and understood, and the book was written by Ed Ball, Slaves in the Family.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother was on Oprah Winfrey talking about our generational lineage tied to that ball plantation. There is a exhibit in the Smithsonian in DC, African Voices, where my family is also in this exhibit. So the heritage and the knowledge, even going back to the why Bright Mall, like it was in front of me. It was in front of my face. Like this is where it needs to be, and tell that story. And so part of this business being a great opportunity to create generational wealth is also telling us the story of my heritage, and so just super exciting, just knowing that we're farming cotton, now we're farming hemp, right? But
Right.
on our terms.
Right. Right. Right.
So
Right.
um, yeah, just amazing, and our story will be told, but it will be told by us,
Right.
and I'm working on that blueprint now.
Do you have any words of wisdom for those thinking about entering the field of harvest planning and harvesting hemp?
Yeah, so one would be look for those advocacy groups. The regulatory groups will always stand in front and tell you why you shouldn't, but the advocacy groups will help you get in the game and understand why you should. And one that I sit on as a board of director is the U.S. Hemp Growers Association, national group that advocates for all hemp farmers. I say start there, join a membership. I just did a virtual expo last week with the Farm Journal, and it was all about hemp. And just chatting with farmers internationally and nationally that attended. And I know the more you can do your due diligence and your resource, and even reach out to me, Harold at brightmawfarms.com. But have a vision board. It starts there. Write that vision board out, get some education, some advocacy where you understand the industry, and then we can position opportunities from there.
Where do you see, I guess, within the next 5 to 10 years, do you think there will be, there'll be more people
It
farming
will.
hemp?
Yes, I
Okay.
totally see it. You look not just, I wouldn't say on an economic basis, but you look at just our environment, right? What we're doing, even with the plastics and the biofuels, and fiber, um, replacing some of the paper use, the things that the plant does, for food element and support, medicine. The opportunity is robust. We just have to navigate a way in this emerging industry of thinking CBD is the only quantitative thing that we should be doing with the plant. And as that expands and this emerging market expands, greater opportunities will be there. So those that are looking to get in, how do you look downrange, right? Like Elon Musk with electric cars and right? Like, how do you look downrange and say what will be better for our kids' kids and their kids? And hemp is one of those plants that can open doors to a lot of variations and a lot of opportunities to navigate. So yes, it will expand. I just referenced 2017, South Carolina only had 20 permitted farmers. 2018, we had 40. Right now, we're at 240.
Wow.
So that will continue to grow, and I feel confident that above and beyond hemp, federal deregulation of cannabis will happen as well. The plight and the story of big pharma controlling markets, putting the opioid epidemic, which they knew the outcome, they knew what it was about the dollar sign though. When they start caring about our health, and when we start taking an approach and a holistic approach and understanding our health as well, we will see that this is the direction we need to go in.
Wow. Harold, thank you so much for sitting down for this interview with me. Thank you for giving us clarity on the hemp industry, and we wish you much success.
My queen, I appreciate your time. Thank you for connecting me with the opportunity. I look forward to expanding territories. If you have any feedback, anyone that listened to the podcast that want to reach out, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. You can look me up at brightmouthfarms.com. My email, harold@brightmouthfarms.com. And I look forward to being a foundation piece that you can inquire and get advocacy and get the knowledge and get the facts. But I'm looking to position and support several more minorities being in this space, because the opportunity to create generational wealth is definitely there. Why not do it together?
On that note, thank you so much.
Have a great evening.
Same to you. Thanks for joining us this week on She Speaks Too. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook at She Speaks Too. As always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave us a review so we can continue to bring you fresh content. See you next week.